have you ever noticed how the moment you stop chasing, the moment you step back, suddenly he appears in your life like nothing ever happened? It's not magic, it's psychology. Men don't just disappear forever, they respond to certain signals, subtle cues that speak louder than words. Today I'm going to reveal exactly what you need to do after being ignored so he can't help but come back to you. And the best part, it's simpler than you think, yet so few women actually do it. One of the biggest mistakes women make when they're ignored is reacting impulsively. It's almost like an automatic reflex. You feel the sting of being overlooked, and suddenly you want to call, text, or show up to remind him you exist. But here's the truth, that reaction, that chasing, is exactly what pushes him further away. The men who matter, the ones who respond to genuine connection, they don't react the same way. They're drawn to strength, not desperation. And the most powerful form of strength you can show after being ignored isn't words, it's calm detachment. Now, I'm not talking about pretending you don't care or putting on a fake mask of indifference. That's hollow and it's obvious to him. What I'm talking about is a real, grounded confidence. It's about understanding your worth so deeply that his attention, or lack of it, doesn't shake your peace. When you can maintain your composure in the face of being ignored, you create a magnetic energy that's impossible to ignore. Men notice it instinctively, even if they can't articulate why. They sense when a woman is unbothered, when she values herself more than the temporary outcome of a text or a meeting. That kind of calm detachment is irresistible. Think about it for a moment. When someone ignores you, every instinct inside screams, "Make him see me! Make him notice!" But if you resist that instinct, if you pause and breathe, you're sending a very clear message without saying a word. You're saying, "I am complete on my own. I am not defined by your attention." And that, believe it or not, flips the dynamic completely. Instead of being the one chasing, you become the one he notices, the one he starts wondering about. There's a subtle shift in power when you stop running after validation and start owning your own energy. And it's not about playing games. It's about presence and self-command. When you're calm, you're also unpredictable in the best way. He can't read you the same way he could when you were chasing. You've introduced a layer of mystery, but it's authentic mystery. He begins to notice the contrast between the woman who was always available and the woman who now moves with purpose, who has a life, who doesn't bend to the whims of his attention. That contrast is what ignites curiosity and desire. The beauty of calm detachment is that it works on multiple levels. On the surface, he sees a woman who is poised and self-assured. On a deeper level, he feels the psychological pull, the very human instinct to seek what seems slightly out of reach. And because this isn't about manipulation, it doesn't carry guilt or tension. It's a natural, healthy attraction that grows out of you simply being yourself, grounded and confident. So the next time you're ignored, resist the urge to fill the silence with frantic texts or anxious calls. Step back. Breathe. Engage in your passions. Surround yourself with things and people that reinforce your sense of worth. And trust that this calm, quiet confidence is doing more for your connection than any words ever could. When you embody this energy, when you show that your life doesn't revolve around his attention, you're creating a pull that no man can resist. Because men always come back to the woman who knows her value and holds her peace, even when she's been ignored. There's something incredibly powerful about mystery. It's one of those things that's almost unfair because it's not something you have to force. It's something you naturally create when you don't reveal everything all at once. Many women, when they're ignored, feel like the solution is to explain, to share, to lay out every thought and feeling so that he finally understands their worth. But the truth is, when you give it all away, when you strip yourself bare emotionally too soon, the intrigue disappears. And men, by nature, are drawn to what they can't fully grasp, to what challenges them in the most subtle ways. Now, mystery doesn't mean being cold or playing manipulative games. It's about restraint and awareness. It's about allowing him to wonder, to pause and think, what is she doing? What is she doing? Why does she seem so different? When you cultivate this aura, you're not hiding yourself. You're revealing yourself on your own terms. You're saying, I have a life. I have depth. And I'm not here just to fill the gaps in your attention. That little distance, that small layer of mystery, is what stirs curiosity and keeps him coming back, because men are wired to seek what they don't completely possess. Think about it for a moment. When a woman overshares or becomes too available, it's almost like she's answered all the questions before he even gets a chance to ask them. And when that happens, the natural pull fades. But when you hold back just enough, when you smile, laugh, and share selectively, you create a rhythm of anticipation. Every interaction becomes a little spark. Every glance or message carries weight, and he begins to invest emotionally simply because he's intrigued, because he wants to know more. The art of mystery also connects deeply with self-respect. By choosing what you share, and when you demonstrate that your life and your emotions are precious, you're not desperate for validation, and that alone is magnetic. Men feel this instinctively. They sense when a woman's inner world is rich and complex, and when it's not immediately available, it pulls them in like a current they can't resist. That doesn't mean playing cold or pretending to be someone you're not. It means valuing yourself enough to set boundaries around your energy, your time, and your attention. And here's another layer. Mystery isn't just about keeping him curious. It's also about keeping yourself grounded. When you allow yourself to be fully known all at once, you lose a part of your personal power. But when you pace your self-revelation, when you maintain a sense of depth and individuality, you're cultivating confidence and independence. You're no longer reacting to him, chasing him, or seeking approval. You're moving through life on your own terms, and that energy, that freedom, is the most alluring thing of all. So if you've been ignored, don't rush to explain or overexpose yourself. Step back, live your life fully, and let the intrigue build naturally. Smile at him, engage casually, but hold on to your depth. Let him wonder, let him pause, let him notice that there's more to you than meets the eye. That subtle dance, that careful balance of openness and mystery, awakens desire in a way that no frantic pursuit ever could. Men always come back to the woman who carries herself with confidence, grace, and a hint of mystery. One of the most overlooked secrets to making a man come back is this focus on your own life first. It sounds almost too simple, but it's profoundly effective. When a man ignores you, the first instinct might be to double down on attention, to try to fill the void with texts, calls, and messages that scream, "Notice me?" But here's the reality. The moment you make your happiness dependent on him, the moment your world revolves around whether he responds or not, you give away your power. Men are drawn to women who are fully engaged with life, women whose energy is independent of their presence. Think about the women who captivate effortlessly. They have careers they love, hobbies that light them up, friendships that energize them, and experiences that fulfill them. Their lives are rich, layered, and moving forward, regardless of whether he's paying attention. And that movement, that vibrant energy, is magnetic. Men sense when a woman is thriving without them, and it triggers an instinctual curiosity. They want to be part of that life, not because they have to, but because they're drawn to it. Focusing on your life first doesn't just make you more attractive, it protects your emotional well-being. When you pour your energy into yourself, you're no longer vulnerable to the highs and lows of his attention. You stop the cycle of chasing and disappointment, and instead, you create a sense of balance. You become the woman who can handle silence, who can sit back and observe without panic, and that calm resilience makes him notice in ways he never would if he felt you were constantly waiting, constantly available. It's not about being aloof or playing a game. It's about living intentionally, about filling your days with purpose and passion. When you immerse yourself in things that bring joy, growth, and fulfillment, you're sending a silent, powerful signal. Your happiness is non-negotiable. And here's the magic. Men respond to that energy. They are naturally drawn to women who are busy building, creating, and exploring because it reflects independence, confidence, and depth. No one wants to chase someone who seems empty or desperate. But a woman whose life is full, whose days are rich with experiences, suddenly becomes irresistible. Even small shifts in focus can have a profound impact. Take time to nurture your talents, explore interests you've neglected, or spend quality moments with friends and family. Each action reinforces the message that you are not defined by his attention. And as your energy rises, something remarkable happens. He begins to notice it. He notices the spark in your eyes, the lightness in your laugh, the confidence in your stride. And that subtle shift can be enough to draw him back, not because you chased him, but because you've become someone he wants to be around. Focusing on your life also creates space for him to reflect on his own behavior. When you stop responding to every impulse, when you stop giving him constant access, he starts to realize what he's missing. Absence, combined with the energy of a thriving, independent woman, creates a pull that no amount of pleading or chasing could ever generate. So, after being ignored, the most powerful move isn't to chase, it's to fully invest in yourself. Cultivate your passions, nurture your growth, and live a life so rich that his presence becomes a privilege rather than a necessity. Men always come back to the woman who radiates purpose, joy, and independence. There's a delicate balance when it comes to engagement, and understanding it is what separates the women who pull men back effortlessly from those who keep chasing in frustration. After being ignored, it's not about overwhelming him with constant contact or proving that you exist. It's about using subtle signals that awaken curiosity and spark desire. Men are instinctively drawn to nuance, to hints and gestures that suggest interest without suffocating. That's the secret: small, intentional touches that communicate you're thinking of him, but on your terms, without desperation. Imagine this for a moment. You send a brief text that's light, confident, and slightly playful. You don't need to over-explain yourself. You don't need to ask for validation. You simply drop a thought that makes him pause and smile. Maybe it's a memory that crossed your mind. Maybe it's a small observation about something he likes. The key is subtlety. Men are wired to notice these micro signals. They create a sense of connection, a thread that pulls him back, without making him feel trapped or pressured. It's the same in person. A casual smile, a knowing glance, a touch that's natural but intentional. These are all forms of communication that go beyond words. They speak directly to his instincts. They make him feel seen, appreciated, and intrigued all at once. And because they're subtle, they invite him to engage actively, to interpret and respond. He becomes part of the dynamic, rather than just a passive observer. Many women make the mistake of flooding him with attention when he's withdrawn, thinking that more contact equals more influence. But the truth is the opposite. Overwhelming him pushes him further away. Subtle signals, on the other hand, create space for desire to grow. They ignite a mental and emotional pull that can't be forced. You're planting seeds of interest and leaving room for him to cultivate them. This is what draws him back naturally. It's not manipulation. It's strategic, mindful communication rooted in self-respect. Another powerful aspect of subtle signaling is that it reinforces your independence. Every small gesture is a reminder that you are fully in control of your emotions and your attention. You're not reacting to his silence with panic or neediness. Instead, you're moving through the interaction with calm confidence, sending just enough of yourself to remind him of your presence without giving him the impression that your happiness depends on his response. That's magnetic. Men are attracted to women who have boundaries, who value themselves, and who know how to communicate without giving away their power. This approach also has a compounding effect. When he starts noticing your subtle signals, it piques his curiosity, stimulates his attention, and even makes him question why he pulled away in the first place. He begins to reflect on what he's missing, and the natural desire to reconnect grows. And here's the beauty: you don't have to chase. You don't have to beg. You're simply showing up as a confident, self-assured woman who knows how to communicate interest without surrendering her dignity. So remember, the moment after being ignored isn't a time to flood him with messages or chase desperately. It's the moment to be intentional, to engage through subtle signals, to show him glimpses of your attention and energy without overwhelming him. That's the dance, the rhythm that pulls him back into your orbit naturally, effortlessly, and irresistibly. Men always come back to the woman who knows how to communicate interest with subtlety, confidence, and self-respect. There's a critical difference between playing games and embodying self-respect, and understanding this difference is what makes the woman who attracts men back so magnetic. After being ignored, some women feel tempted to resort to manipulation or strategy, sending cryptic messages, pretending indifference, or testing him in ways that feel clever at the moment. But the truth is, the kind of power that truly draws a man isn't born from tricks. It comes from valuing yourself, setting boundaries, and living with integrity. When you project self-respect, you're not trying to control him. You're simply showing that your attention, your time, and your energy are not negotiable. That alone is irresistible. Imagine it like this: a man has pulled back, and instead of spiraling or attempting to force a response, you hold your ground. You maintain your standards. You don't tolerate behavior that diminishes your worth. This isn't arrogance or cruelty, it's clarity. You're demonstrating that you will not settle for being ignored or undervalued. And here's the fascinating part: men are wired to respond to this. When a woman exhibits confidence and self-respect, it triggers a natural desire to re-engage, to reconnect, and to prove that he's worthy of that energy. He sees that you have boundaries, and those boundaries become a form of magnetic tension, an invisible pull that draws him back into your life. Self-respect also communicates authenticity. When you know your worth and you operate from that space, you're no longer reacting to his actions with fear or insecurity. You're responding with intention. Every choice you make, whether it's how often you engage, what you share, or how you carry yourself, is rooted in a deep understanding that your value is inherent and non-negotiable. Men sense this immediately, even if they can't articulate it. They recognize the energy of someone who is grounded, confident, and emotionally independent, and they can't help but be drawn to it. Boundaries play a huge role in this dynamic. They aren't walls to keep someone out, they're lines that define your self-worth. When a man ignores you, enforcing those boundaries doesn't push him away. It positions you as someone who respects herself, someone whose attention must be earned rather than assumed. And that changes the game entirely. You stop chasing, you stop begging, and in that space, he starts noticing the very qualities that make you magnetic. Your calm, steady presence contrasts sharply with the uncertainty and neediness that he may have encountered elsewhere, and suddenly, your energy is compelling in a way that words cannot capture. The beauty of self-respect is that it works on multiple levels simultaneously. On a conscious level, he notices your strength, your independence, and your refusal to tolerate neglect. On a subconscious level, he experiences a pull, an instinctual curiosity to reestablish connection with someone who exudes such balance and confidence. You're no longer just a presence in his life, you become a challenge, a mystery, and an irresistible force all at once. So, after being ignored, your goal isn't to manipulate or coerce him back. Your goal is to stand firm in your self-respect, to maintain your boundaries, and to show through your energy, your choices, and your presence that you are a woman whose attention is precious. Men always come back to the woman who embodies her worth unapologetically, without games, without compromise, and without surrendering her dignity. Timing is everything. It's not just a saying, it's a principle that can completely change the way men respond after they've pulled away. After being ignored, the instinct might be to re-engage immediately, to send a message, to call, or to find some way to reconnect as quickly as possible. But here's the truth: the moment you reach out, the way you reach out, and even the way you carry yourself during that time determines whether he's drawn back in or pushed further away. Men are highly sensitive to timing, not just in words, but in energy. There's a rhythm to attraction that most women overlook, and understanding that rhythm can make all the difference. When a man has pulled back, giving him space is not about playing games. It's about creating an environment where he has the chance to notice you, to reflect, and to genuinely desire your presence again. Too soon, and your engagement can feel like desperation, signaling that your happiness depends on his attention. Too late, and the connection risks fading because he begins to move on, unconsciously filling the void you've left with someone else, or with distractions that dilute the bond you once had. The key is to find that perfect balance, where your re-engagement feels natural, confident, and purposeful. This timing isn't rigid or formulaic. It's about tuning into energy and context. When you've taken the time to focus on your own life, cultivate calm detachment, and communicate subtly, you naturally create the ideal window for timing to work in your favor. When you finally make contact, it's not needy, it's magnetic. It communicates that you're aware of your worth, that you have boundaries, and that your attention is a privilege, not a given. This combination of patience and precision taps into something primal in men, the instinct to pursue, to reconnect, to re-establish a bond with someone they perceive as confident and valuable. Timing also amplifies the effects of all the other strategies we've discussed. When you've cultivated mystery, focused on your life, and maintained subtle signals, a well-timed engagement becomes a powerful spark. It's not just a message or a smile, it's a carefully placed moment that reminds him of what he's missing. That's why women who seem to effortlessly draw men back don't act out of panic. They act intentionally, knowing that the right moment can undo weeks or months of distance with a single interaction. And here's the most important part. Timing allows him to chase you authentically. When you've given space and re-engaged at the right moment, he's not returning because you forced him to. He's returning because he wants to. The pull comes from his own desire, curiosity, and attraction, not from pressure or manipulation. That makes the reconnection far stronger, far more meaningful, and far more sustainable than anything that comes from chasing or over-communicating. So remember, after being ignored, your actions are most effective when guided by rhythm, patience, and awareness. Step back, allow space, focus on yourself, and choose the moment to re-engage carefully. That timing, combined with confidence, subtlety, and self-respect, creates an irresistible force. Men always come back to the woman who knows when to step back, when to step forward, and how to do it with purpose and grace.